Whew! I need to catch my breath. Yo, welcome to the Classic WoW Dungeon Guide series, where we take a look at each dungeon's quests, loot tables, and unique quirky mechanics that the original dungeons have integrated into their beautiful game design. Now, I'm taking a page out of Cargos' book, and I'm now making my guides on shareable PowerPoints. Now, this is really exciting for me because now it's allowing me to spread my wings a little bit on topics that I can cover, because it'll allow me to always modify information and increase the value of the guide over time. So also, now I can make my guides in a way that I can just plug in official numbers whenever the game gets released, which is what I did in this one. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now generally, you run dungeons because of the healthy amount of experience gained from quests and mobs and the gear upgrades. And the lower level dungeons before, like say level 40, have huge benefits for your character in comparison to the later dungeons. Now that's because the character progression between, say, 1 to 40 is much greater than the character progression from 40 to 60. The amount of new abilities and skills learned early on is much greater in the beginning levels, and therefore the item upgrades have more of an impact. This in turn means that the difficulty of the content scales tremendously with each level early on. An elite mob 2 to 4 levels higher than you in lower level dungeons mainly just end up resisting a lot of your spells and dodging and parrying half your melee attacks. I say all this to say my level recommendation for these early dungeons is so that you have a better experience in your dungeon run. Now if you go into the Deadmines at level 15 or 16, you're pretty much going to be deemed useless unless you're a healer. But as a tank or a DPS, you're not going to be able to perform nearly as well as if you were the same level as the mobs around you. And the minimum level requirement to enter the Deadmines is level 10, in case you're wanting to gear up for a 19 twink, and the minimum level for obtaining all the quests is level 15. Now the mobs in Deadmines range from level 16 to 21, and the average NPC level is level 18. Therefore, I highly recommend you prepare for the Deadmines at level 15 and start making a group by the time you're 17 for this dungeon run. The difficulty of this dungeon is fairly mild in my opinion. Again, a lot of it depends on the level of your group. If you've got 5 level 17s, you may struggle a little bit more than a group full of level 18s and 19s. Like, take for instance, whenever mobs start to run away and pull their friends in, you're going to have a hard time killing them before they wipe the entire group. Also, the Deadmines is fairly easy to navigate through and control, but there are a few corners and spaces where you can pull half the room if you're not paying attention. The mast room, the forge room, and the ship are all squirrely little places where crowd control loses control real quick. And lastly, for the general notes, there are no horde quests for the Deadmines, and it's way out of the way for the horde to travel to at the appropriate level, so for that reason, the horde don't generally run the Deadmines. So why do you want to run DM? The level range for the Deadmines is one of the most advantageous times to run dungeons in my opinion. There are 6 total quests everyone on the Alliance side can complete, which, alongside all the elite mobs killed outside and inside of the Deadmines, will equate to roughly 1.5 to 2 levels earned on your first run, considering you're around level 18. Also, each quest reward guarantees a weapon upgrade for nearly every class, so if you're unlucky enough to get an upgrade for your weapon from one of the 9 bosses in the Deadmines, you've always got the quest rewards. Some of the items that stick out to me is the green wand upgrade from the Underground Assault quest, and the blue wand, which is dropped off of Cookie roughly 35% of the time, the lavishly jeweled ring, which is one of the first rings anyone is going to see in the leveling process, and there are tons of good one-handed and two-handed weapon upgrades that drop off of 7 of the 9 dungeon bosses. There's no better feeling than being a level 17 or 18 warrior or rogue and winning a roll on a cruel barb and anticipating its use at level 19. Overall, running through the Deadmines during the leveling process is going to grant you a ton of experience and item upgrades. It's a ton of fun to complete with a group, and it spices up the mundanity of grinding and questing. So first, let's go over each quest available to the Deadmines. There are only 2 quests that don't involve prior quests in order to complete the task in the Deadmines: collecting memories and Oh Brother. Therefore, you'll often see a lot of the party members with 1 or 2 Deadmines quests because they didn't take the time to complete the rest of the quests in Westfall, and only those 2 quests can be shared by other party members. There are 5 quests you're going to need before entering the Deadmines, 3 of which are completed inside the instance, and 2 are completed in the Defias hideout just before you enter into the dungeon. There are 2 additional quests completed in the Deadmines, one being the Unsent Letter, a quest item that begins after killing Van Cleef, and a Paladin class quest, which requires you to obtain some wood from the Goblin Woodcarvers in the Mast Room. Collecting Memories and Oh Brother are the two quests that are completed outside of the Deadmines run and are offered by Wilder Thistlenettle found in Old Town in Stormwind at level 15. Now, both of these quests are completed in the same area, the purple zone on the map in the Defias hideout. The rewards aren't amazing by any means, rather you end up doing these quests for the extra experience. Underground Assault is obtained by visiting a gnome in Ironforge first and then going to the Old Town in Stormwind to speak with Shoni the Shylent. What I really like about this quest is, for all the wand users out there, you get a 16.9 DPS wand, which is a huge benefit at level 17 or 18. Now, fingers crossed you get that Cookies blue wand to drop during the Deadmines run though. The next quest requires you to obtain 10 red silk bandanas from the elites found in the Deadmines. Red silk bandanas is a hidden quest that a lot of people miss because of the prerequisites for it. It's the second quest that follows the red leather bandanas and only becomes attainable after you finish the Defias Brotherhood quest chain. This is why you see party members with only 2 or 3 Deadmines quests, because they don't take the time to complete the last quest chain, the Defias Brotherhood. The Defias Brotherhood quest chain begins at level 14 with Gryan Stoutmantle. The cliff notes for this quest chain are to speak with Gryan in Westfall, then Wiley in Redridge, then Gryan, then Master Matthias in Stormwind, then Gryan, then find and kill the Defias Messenger, then Gryan, then escort the Defias Trader to the Deadmines, then Gryan, and now you're ready to accept the Red Silk Bandanas quest and kill Edwin Van Cleef and kick the Defias Brotherhood's ass completely after all these years and your short leveling experience from 1 to 20. After you kill Edwin, he'll start a quest which requires you to visit the Stormwind City Architect for some added experience. Additionally, Paladins have a class quest at level 20 which rewards them with the sick looking mace after completing a very long class quest chain. One of the items needed to forge Varigan's Fist is some very specific whitestone oak lumber found in the Master Room in the Deadmines. Now let's go over the bosses. There are 9 total bosses in Deadmines if you get the rare spawn Miner Johnson during your run, and you consider Sneed and Sneed Shredder to be 2 different bosses. They both have the potential to drop green and blue items, so I consider them separate bosses for this video. In this presentation, I've put a lot of things in place where I'll be able to plug in official numbers and statistics come Classic. I've got huge plans to theorycraft dungeons in vanilla, and so having a list of each mob's health, damage, attack speed, and armor is going to be valuable information for the project that I'm planning. I didn't plug in numbers for these stats now because while some may be accurate, half of the stats will not be, and I'll have to go through and change each number when official servers come out. So keep that in mind when you're looking at drop rates as well. These numbers will be updated when we get the real version, which is why I'm so excited to offer this guide in PowerPoint form to always have the ability to update it. So our first boss, Raxor, he generally drops a 2-handed white mace no one ever ends up using, and it's just an increase in gold for the dungeon run. Miner Johnson is a rare spawn that drops a lovely shield for warriors and paladins 50% of the time. Sneed and Sneed Shredder are going to be the source of one-handed weapons and a nice 2-handed axe with spirit and stamina on it. Now Gilned is unique because of his loot table and the chance to drop many people's first ring for their characters. The stats are a little quirky and best fit a hunter or a druid, but don't worry, there's always going to be a rogue in the group who tries to steal this ring from the rest of the spellcasters because of the +2 agility buff. Now, Mr. Smite is a fun boss fight that's very interactive with adds and a stun ability that he uses 2 times during the fight, when he drops to 66% health and 33% health. As for weapon upgrades, if he drops his mighty hammer, a lot of warriors and paladins are going to be very happy. Cookie is found on the ship, and she's one of the last bosses killed during the dungeon run. She has a chance to drop a very nice wand upgrade for all the spellcasters out there, which will be used for the next 10 levels without being replaced until around level 30. Additionally, Cookie always has a 15% chance to drop a little 2004 pixelated Siamese cat for all the pet-loving fans out there. Captain Greenskin is found at the top of the boat walking around with 2 other adds next to him, and his loot table's a little odd, dropping 2 bind on pickup items and 1 bind on equip item. The Impaling Harpoon could be a cool stat stick for hunters and druids, but it is a polearm, which just makes it that much more of a pain to use at level 20. Typically, that item's vendor trash or just disenchanted. The Emberstone Staff is a great drop for all the spellcasters who didn't complete the Defias Brotherhood quest chain and won't be receiving the slightly better Staff of Westfall at the end of the instance. the last boss, Edwin Van Cleef, drops a slew of blue items and 2 best in slot level 19 twink items. His fight is a tank and spank, and he just summons 2 additional mobs to his aid 2 times during the fight. Cruel Barb is 3rd on the list for the best 19 twink rogue weapons, behind Shadowfang and Assassin's Blade found in Shadowfang Keep. The Black and Defias armor chest piece is best in slot for 19 twink rogues as well. Van Cleef also drops that additional quest completed in Stormwind, so make sure to stick around until the end of the dungeon. Now here's a complete list of items to look at in case you don't want to go through the video again or visit the PowerPoint in the description below. Like I said, nearly every single person is going to upgrade their weapon during this dungeon run and pick up a few nice blues to take with them into Duskwood or Red Ridge Mountains. Now here's a couple extra notes I added into the slide. There are 5 treasure chests found in the Deadmines, as well as 4 boxes of assorted parts which drop reagents for engineers. I remember sneaking these boxes of assorted parts from my party members back in the day just to clutter my bags with items that I ended up vendoring for a few silver back in vanilla. Good times. Also, I've got a list of each mob found in the dungeon and the amount of mobs in order to give you a chance to research all their loot tables and be able to calculate the amount of experience gained from each dungeon run. Now, there's been a lot of theory crafting done over experience gains on mobs in vanilla, and Navik and Egregious have put together an amazing spreadsheet where you can calculate the full amount of experience you'll earn from each dungeon run. Now, I'm going to wait until Classic to do the math and release formulas like this just to ensure accuracy, so make sure that you bookmark this PowerPoint and revisit it when Classic rolls around. A lot of this information in this guide could be updated, so also, if you guys have any suggestions or remarks in regards to this dungeon guide, let me know about it in the comments or on Discord so that I can update this guide even more. Even peculiar little things like the fact that you need to obtain the blasting powder in order to open the last door if you don't have a rogue who knows lockpicking already. Just abstract little details like that. If they're worthy enough to be added into the guide, I'll have no problem updating that. Thanks for watching my dungeon guide video. Guys, there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes and preparing for Classic, and like I've said various times in this video, I've got huge plans for dungeons in vanilla, and these guides are going to be the holy grail for information when it comes to speedrunning and the like. So make sure to subscribe and bookmark this PowerPoint, and make sure to visit the official Classicwow.live website where we have a ton of guides and different tooltip abilities in order to enhance your Classic WoW experience. Thanks for watching, guys. It's your boy, Graysfordays. Outie.